Hello everyone and welcome to KOHC channel. So in this video, we're going to talk about the mortgage crisis in Canada, like how bad it actually is, what people think about it, whether people want to get a house or whether they even plan on getting a house right now. You see what I'm saying, bro? So if you stick around, you'll find out.
I'm a scholar of the far right who has fled the United States to Canada, and I need help. The situation in Canada is absolutely dire. For Americans who don't know, the housing crisis here is worse than in the United States. I lived in LA for 6 years, and I have not faced rent as bad as here. When my partner, our cat, and our dog fled the United States, we headed north with the goal of being close to where our families are located, which is on the West Coast. So we are now in British Columbia. More specifically, we are in the Sea to Sky Highway in the Greater Vancouver area. We are attempting to find housing in the western side of this region. My partner and I are here on a visitor visa, which is a 6 months possible stay for Americans. But while you're here on a visitor visa, you can't work. So we are currently surviving off of what savings we could get together before we fled the United States. And that's not terribly much. And in Canada, I think it's actually the cost of living crisis is worse here, especially when you are shut out of the healthcare system, when you can't access any of the resources that Canadians have access to. And that's understandable. You know, I'm not a citizen of the country, but it is making the financial situation dire because we can't work. Because there are two adults, a cat and a dog, we are looking for more than a room, but a 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom for free or below market rates. And I know that's a huge ask, but that's what we need. Canadians have been asking where I'm located and what I need because y'all are such lovely human beings. This is the ask. If you could help me by interacting, reposting this video, I would very much appreciate it to get this out there. As horrified as I am to be revealing my location, because I'm trying to find a way to get us housing. So if you are on Vancouver Island, if you are in the Vancouver or Surrey area with a 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, let us know. We can pay rent, but it would probably have to be below market rate. Please let me know if that's possible. You can leave a comment and I'll get in touch with you, or DM me. I will be checking my messages regularly. I will be paying very close attention to this post. If we can't find housing, we're going to have to leave, and I don't know where we'll go. So I hope that this works. Thank you.
First of all, whenever I heard this girl talk about leaving the US and go to Canada, and it was Vancouver, Iceland. That just by that name, I don't know like every single part of Canada, but just by that name, I will have to see that that will be one of the most expensive place without even doing some research, bro. Like when you know that you go to like an Iceland, bro, nah. You will see like beaches, like hotel here and there, bro. Like it will be the most expensive place. Like straight up the most expensive place. And knowing that, and also you don't want to move to like a cheaper place or maybe whatever, like depend on your family location. You know what I'm saying? Like it's hard. Like I will have to say it's hard. But like again, I don't live in Canada. I don't know what part of Canada is cheaper than the others. But I will have to say the region where you're staying right now is probably one of the most expensive. And if you ask me, I would say you can move to like a cheaper location and then trying to get the one or like um, a closer location to Vancouver, Iceland, so that you can easily get like easily travel back to that Iceland back and forth if your family lives there or whatever. Then you can go back and forth, back and forth. But again, just like you say, you don't have a job over there and you need some kind of way to like make money and keep on paying your bills because you cannot live on your savings forever. So at some point, you will need to have a job or an income to keep on paying your bills. Or if it's not possible, you can just come back to the US. This is what I think. I don't know about you guys, but this is what I think. Or you can maybe move to a cheaper place over there in Canada to live for a longer time and while you searching for like a job and you live at like a cheaper place. You know what I'm saying? So this is what I think. This is my idea. I don't know. I have a lot of people from Canada watching my videos, so they're gonna look at it and maybe give you other advice, and you can go through my comments and look at them. You know what I'm saying?
The consensus around the housing crisis in Canada is that the supply of houses is simply not meeting the demand. This has been targeted specifically at Ontario recently, as it's been revealed that the province lags behind the rest of the country when it comes to new housing starts, and that is a problem. But the Canadian Centre for Policy Alternatives has put together a compelling argument that supply might actually be just fine in Canada, and the reason for housing inflation might be unrelated. Let's look at graphs. So this is real home price from the mid-1970s until now. As we all know, it's gone way, way up. These two lines, the brown one is the number of dwellings per 1,000 adults. The black one is number of dwellings per 1,000 people. These graphs show that that number has exploded since the 1970s and stayed relatively stable since the mid-1990s, meaning that the supply has been pretty well stable for population growth for decades. And finally, we have household debt, which of course has also exploded since the 1970s. So how do we make sense of this? Well, Economics 101, supply and demand. The supply has stayed relatively stable or even gone up in the time that debt and household prices have also gone up significantly, which means that increasing the supply of houses has not had a tangible impact on the price of houses, at least not so far as lowering the prices. And this makes sense as well in a private market, in that developers are only usually interested in large housing starts when the price of housing is high so that they can ensure that they're getting their investment back. Or to simplify, supply really only goes up when price also goes up. So if not supply, then what is causing housing inflation? This report puts forward the idea of financialization, essentially that housing has become a bubble, just like gold or cryptocurrency. Over the last number of decades, banks have increasingly wanted to take on mortgage debt, as, especially in Canada, that debt has become less and less risky. That basically means more capital in the market. People are able to spend more for houses than they previously were able to, which is, we can go back to that chart of massively rising household debt. As a result, you get bidding wars where the prices of houses are artificially inflated. And because houses are an essential commodity, they don't come down or have a bubble burst like other commodities might. You can couple this in Canada with how much of our economy is dependent on large investors buying up a lot of property at high prices to then charge high rents. If this is true, then solving the housing crisis may rely far more on reforms to the banking industry than on simply building more and more houses.
In Rankin Inlet, the NDP caucus heard from one Inuk who shared that he has waited for 11 years for a house. There are 17 people in his two-bedroom unit. His story is all too common in Nunavut. The government is acting on what I've told them. Nunavut will receive 50 more homes added to the 700 originally promised in the budget. This is a good start. Will the minister keep working with Nunavut to address the worst housing crisis in Canada?
You're here. The Honourable Minister for Housing and Infrastructure.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I thank the member for her question. I'm very excited to share that the Government of Canada, the Government of Nunavut, and Nunavut Tungavik Incorporated reached an agreement to deliver up to 750 homes in the territory there. Build Canada Homes will lead this work using innovative factory-built components to get homes ready faster. We're prioritizing Canadian materials, we're supporting Inuit-owned businesses, and creating lots of job opportunities and training opportunities. This partnership will make a real difference on the ground. I thank her for her leadership and helping bring more homes to Nunavut that are much-needed affordable homes, and I encourage all.
One thing for sure is that these people keep on talking and talking, but nothing ever happens. You see what I'm saying? We keep on talking, oh, we need to build more house, we need to build more house, we need to build more house. I'm pretty sure 10 years from now, people are gonna still say, yo, we need to build more house, we need to build, and they are not doing the what they're supposed to do, which is build more house and build them fast. Even if it giving more institution loans and whatever, but we also need some accountability. Whenever you issue loans or you issue those company those company ask for loans from the bank, we need some accountability to track whatever you're doing with that loan, because we don't want to just give people loans and they say, okay, we're going to try to build house, we're going to try to build, but nothing ever happened. Then you ask them, they're going to be, oh, maybe we need more loans. You see what I'm saying? We need more money because inflation is going up, but they're not building. They are not building. Like, we need more accountability. Like, we say, okay, we give you this amount of money. If you don't build that much, then maybe we cancel some of the contract or whatever. But we need some accountability, and they have to build homes and home fast. This is what I think. But is it gonna happen though? I don't know. And I don't think so, bro.
Has Canada's condo market reached crisis level? I don't know, but it's a great question and a great hook for this video. So it would be safe to assume that I'm going to attempt to answer this question in today's episode, because Canada's housing market now has the attention of both Morningstar financial institution ratings and the Bank of International Settlements. 2025 was the worst year in history for Toronto's condo market. 2026 is actually already off to an even worse start, with January of this year below January 2025 and 80% below the long-term average. Let's get into it. So Canada's housing market just became a bit of a global outlier, according to the Bank of International Settlements. We're now posting one of the worst real housing price drops in the developed world. At the same time, Toronto condo sales have cratered to levels we have not seen since the early 1990s. If you don't remember the 90s, it was horrible for the real estate market. This is what a housing-driven economy looks like when the engine starts misfiring. So global real house prices are down about 0.7% year over year. Not really a big deal. Advanced economies are basically flat. Canada is down 5% in real terms. That means adjusted for inflation. This is a massive underperformance versus peer countries. And when you zoom into the micro, the GTA condo market explains why the Canadian story looks so different. Morningstar says that condo sales in 2025 were just 1,600 units. That comes from Build, that stat. That is 91% below the 10-year average, and it's the lowest annual total since 1991. Supply is still completing. So we have record supply coming online this year. Starts are collapsing. Projects are getting canceled. And people under pressure are not the big banks. It's the developers, the private lenders, and the investors who have to close in a market that no longer pencils. So Morningstar doesn't seem concerned about Canadian banks.
This just came out that immigrants own houses at much higher rates than Canadians. And this is information coming directly from Statistics Canada, that immigrants have significantly higher rates of homeownership than Canadian-born population. And things, well, they're getting worse for affordability. In fact, a recent article just stated that the hopes of solving the housing crisis just faded as Canada allowed 817,000 immigrants to arrive.
A North American immigrant that goes to another country will contribute in their lifetime $573,000 to the country. A Scandinavian immigrant will contribute over their lifetime $557,000. Immigrants from Oceania, $476,000. A Japanese, $525,000. Someone from the UK, $481,000. All those are net positives for society. Well, now let's look at the ones who cost society. Someone from the Middle East, it's a net loss for these immigrants at a cost of $624,000 over their lifetime. Caribbeans, $675,000. Central and North Africa, $700,000. Sub-Saharan Africans, $730,000. And it leads us to the worst offenders, the costliest immigrants to a society in the Netherlands. Somalians. Somalians cost $1.1 million over their lifetime.
Oh my gosh, bro, this is crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Like, who would have thought that importing everyone and anyone from any country, anywhere in the world, good people, bad people, would actually be bad for the economy, be bad for the country in general, bro. This is crazy. Whenever, like me, if I were the president of like any country in the world, okay, when people get a visa from anywhere in the world, from any country, what I would do is that I would look at for a period of like 10 years. Like I would do like no, not 10 years. Like I would do my term. Like for example, if I become president now, and then I would look at the last 5 years. Who had a job? Who were helpful for the economy? Who didn't cause any troubles? And I will categorize them per country. And then if you from maybe like the Netherlands, you come in here and then you cause troubles, bro, I'm gonna not immediately stop, but I'm gonna try to like not import too much people from that country. Like as simple as it is. Like this is common sense. Absolutely common sense. Like you look at who's gonna cause you troubles, who's gonna make you more money, who's gonna be helpful for your society or your economy or your country, who's not gonna cause you troubles, then you import more of those people. But the rest, basta. As simple as it is. This is common sense. I don't know why some leaders doesn't have this common sense, bro. This is crazy.
That has never gone on really in my life in Canada is that Ontario is leading Canada into a recession. That's right. The supposedly economic engine of Canada, the Toronto, the city that's the biggest in Canada by far. There's 38% of the population in Canada, of the whole goddamn country. Like seriously, if you compare the U.S., that would mean California would have to have like 75 million fucking people in it, like something nuts. But no, it's like more like 175 million. Like anyway, nothing is impactful on Canada as. And I know a lot of people outside of Ontario are saying, actually, you guys can fuck yourselves. I mean, like people in BC, we've been doing fine without you. Like, fuck you. People in Alberta say, fuck, we're not even sure about Canada. Like, fuck it, we don't know. But that's honestly, look, it's never happened like this before. Listen to this. The unemployment rate in Toronto is 9% and rising. Okay, like 10% is soon. Okay, so. What's that mean? How's that fucking happen? Well, just a whole endless, mindless, foolish fucking...
Canada's in a housing crisis, and everyone who talks about it talks about the same thing: supply. They say we simply don't have enough houses, and if we build enough, prices will come down and everyone will be able to afford a home. That's why Canada's federal government has committed to an astronomical 500,000 housing starts per year. But despite removing the red tape and creating special government departments and the build, build, build slogans, housing starts are set to decline in the next few years. Nowhere more so than in Ontario. That's right, the province that wanted to demolish the Greenbelt to build houses is lagging far behind the rest of the country when it comes to new housing starts. Why? Because the plan worked. Ontario built so many condos that the condo market crashed. Prices dropped significantly, affordability was restored, the principles of supply and demand prevailed. Yet, everyone seems a little bit less excited about all this than you might expect.
We've got 7 months of inventory, which is insane.
We're pretty much at a recession in the condo market. Investors are going to be scarred. For a long time, they're going to say, you know what, I'm never buying an investment condo again.
If current sales levels don't return to more historic ones, $20 billion will be taken out of the Ontario economy.
Ontario's condo situation is a perfect microcosm of the housing crisis as a whole. It shows us that simply building more homes will likely not solve affordability in the long run, and because of the way we structured banking and housing, might actually be next to impossible.
If you ask me about this situation, I would say that they need to build more house. Not condo, but like family house. Because whenever you think about it, bro, like whenever someone wants to have a family, they're not gonna live in a condo. They want like more space. They want to have a garage, a living room. You see what I'm saying? More like bedroom, more like, I don't know, like bathroom, like 1 or 2 bathroom if possible, or like 3 bathroom if possible, like if they have money. You see what I'm saying? Like all depend on like your pocket. See what I'm saying? Like if you have a deep pocket, then you can afford it. But that's what people want. That's what people want. If the condo market is oversaturated, then move on to building more big house, not like small house. You have like one bathroom, 2 bedroom, and you see what I'm saying? No, big house. The bigger, the better. This is what I think. The bigger, the better. Because I think if I were like 35 years old and I had like a family, wife, maybe 2 kids, bro, I would want like fucking, and I had the money. You see what I'm saying? This is the big thing. And I had the money, bro. I want the big house. Build the bigger house. The bigger, the better. You build it and then you put a good price on it, and then that will be it. That will be it. People will want it. Absolutely want it. And you build it in a not too much crowded environment. You see what I'm saying? Because those type of people who want family and raise a good family and everything, they don't want to live necessarily in like a very crowded environment, because in that case, the price would just go to the roof. To the roof. You see what I'm saying? Those type of like houses, you need to build it in a chill out environment so that you can go ahead and raise your family, just chill out. See what I'm saying? This is what I think. I don't know about you guys, but this is what I think. Let me know what you think down below.
The Toronto condo market is crumbling to the ground. From 2021's peak, a 95% drop in new condos being sold across the GTA. Even builders and developers are flocking to the sidelines. Urbanation said 28 active projects and a total of over 7,000 units were axed last year, more than double the number of cancelled units from the year prior. With Canada's sharp turnaround on their visa and immigration policy, this has also resulted in rents coming way down. Average one-bedroom apartment in Toronto was 6.5% lower in December than the same time the previous year, and the average two-bedroom rent tumbled by over 9.1%. The situation has gotten so dire for many buyers that with no prospect on getting that money back on a quick resale, taking that monthly loss and hoping that the demand will eventually rebound. With these losses, many buyers can't qualify on the A or B side and are forced to go the private route. This results in way higher expenses and carrying costs, and you're looking at rates well over 7%.
Major increase is in housing prices. Okay, so Canada these past 5 years has seen a huge influx of immigrants, and this has caused housing prices to skyrocket. The United States, which has a much larger economy than Canada, the housing prices are pretty stable. You can still afford to buy a house if you're a young person in the United States, not in Canada. Okay, you see this huge spike in Canada. The housing prices are now unaffordable. This is a chart that shows you economic growth as compared to housing prices. So as you can see in the United States, housing prices, there's a correlation between income and housing prices. Okay, this is pretty reasonable. In Canada, it is not reasonable. Okay? So GDP, housing prices is growing like this, but housing prices is just skyrocketing. And that's why Canadians feel as though the Canadian dream of one day having their own house, it's basically dead. So one strange thing is that as Canada lets in more immigrants, and as property prices go up, you would think that they would build more and more houses. But as you can see, housing supply, okay? Housing supply, it's pretty flat. even though immigration is going up. Does anyone know why this would be the case? Why is it that you have a policy of letting in more immigrants, but you don't have a policy of building more housing for them? That's kind of strange, right? Can anyone guess why that would?
Money, I guess.
Yeah, that's exactly correct, okay? So policy is not being controlled by what's best for the nation and the people. It's controlled by vested interests that will make money off the process, right? So as you say, real estate developers can make money off this process, but the people who benefit the most are actually property owners, right? So if you already have a house, if the supply is constant but the demand goes up, then you know from economics class that the value of a house increases artificially. So it's making homeowners very happy. Okay? And that's why you have this crisis in Canada.
Want to know just how cooked the condo market is in Toronto? Listen to this. They're expecting 22,000 condo completions this year in the GTA. To give you an idea of how many units that actually is, if you took all of the home inventory in Greater Vancouver and the Fraser Valley, detached, attached condos, you would essentially have the amount of condos that are completing in the Toronto area. Here's where it gets crazy. It's estimated that up to 35% of these pre-sale condo buyers in the GTA won't be able to complete. So that's over 7,500 defaults. And from a pricing perspective on these condos from the peak, prices are down around 25%. Not looking good.
Here's the latest, or maybe not the latest, national housing data shows sales remain well below recent highs and several major markets are still adjusting from their 2022 peaks. You already know this. But that national level may be masking what's really happening in other provinces. Because Canada isn't crashing everywhere, and the underlying numbers tell a much more uneven story. In Ontario and British Columbia, inventory levels have risen significantly compared to pandemic lows, which is putting measurable pressure on pricing in some urban segments. Meanwhile, Saskatchewan and Manitoba, for example, never experienced the price acceleration that we had during 2020 and 2022, resulting in far milder adjustments today. Let's talk about Quebec. A resilient market have also shown relative stability, with several regions still posting modest year-over-year gains despite higher borrowing costs. So while some provinces are adjusting, some others are stabilizing or even expanding. Let me know in the comments, does your local market feels like a slowdown or something different?
Who would have thought that importing so many people to come in your countries and everything would have done such a thing to your country, bro? This is crazy. Like, at least if you're trying to import that many people, like you're doing every single year, bro, at least build houses. You need to build house for those people. Because if you don't and you just build condo, they're just gonna like live in those condo, and then the young people will never ever have the ability to ever buy a house and start the family. Because if everyone lives in the condo, like, how are you gonna like make, I don't know, like that many kids? Because at the same times, whenever they like go on television, they will say, oh, the birth rate is so low, like we need to make more babies, we need to we need to make more babies. Or they will say, okay, we need to import more people, we need more people to come, we need more people. They will open the borders and then bring in so many people. But this is what I think, bro. This is what I think. They will import so many people, they will let so many people come into Canada, but not build houses. So that the younger generation who's like around 25, 35, who's looking for a house now, they will still live in those condos. And whenever they're trying to buy a house, they will look at the price and be like, yo, this is crazy. And whenever you're trying to look at like the inventory of like house built every year, or like, yeah, whenever you're trying to like look at the inventory of houses for like the last, I don't know, 10, 20 years, it's still constant. It's just constant. Like, they haven't built massive, like massive amount of house. Like, they import every people, like they import people all around the world. It's not correlating. Absolutely not. And you wonder why the price of house is that much high? You wonder. This is crazy, bro. But anyway, this is what I think. And do you guys live in Canada? Is the house crisis, is it as bad as these people think? Because this is what I think, man. Like, you cannot import that many people and at the same time not build house to make it more affordable, to not make it just astronomical, like expensive for just the regular people who's around 20, 35 to be able to afford a house. Because if those people can't afford a house and they're still living in condo and everything, and then the younger people, 17, 18, 20, when they grow up too, they won't be able to move from the condo to like a real house. They won't. They absolutely won't be able to. And you wonder why, bro. This is crazy. This is what I think. And it's crazy, y'all. Please, if you're in Canada, US, Australia, France, whatever, and you're watching this video, please let me know what you think down below. Do you like it? What do you think about it? Just let me know what you think down below, guys. Give me a like, subscribe, and comment down below. And I will see you next time.